Hi, this is Danny Vance again and the KVEC crew here coming at you from the Holler Studios. I guess you could say kind of spread out a little bit, but we got Mr. Don Page with us here this evening. And Mr. Page has been in this tiny house project business now for, what's this, your fifth year?
Fifth one, yes.
You've built 4, haven't you? Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. And you actually are part of that process, and one of the only schools to finish yours on last year. And we'll get into that a little bit later on the pictures, but tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Page, for those that may not know you and who you are and where you're from and all that.
Well, I was born and raised in Tennessee. And I'm still a big Orange fan. But I've lived here in Phelps for 40 years. I was in the construction business for nearly 40 years.
Wow.
I'm teaching for 6 now, or 7. I don't even know how long I've been married, but I really have enjoyed teaching. It's just been something that I'm glad I've done.
Well, this project's kind of old saying right up your alley, isn't it? It's what you have done,
yeah.
And it's just a continuation of what you've done and being able to transfer that to kids. And that's a great opportunity for those kids.
Kids really love it.
To have somebody with your experience, it's like that's great opportunity for those kids. But you know, this thing, we started it last year, and like I said, you actually finished your tiny house last year. You're the only school last year that we were able to finish. And but you know, when March hit, COVID hit, and tell me a little bit about any of the challenges you had with this virtual thing. You know, we've been virtual since then. I guess you're back in class full time with some students now. But what are some of the challenges this virtual thing did for you, or what's it done?
Well, I'm to say the least, I'm old school, so some of this technology is a real struggle for me. I struggled when they shut school down last spring, getting lessons out there online, and man, I've learned a lot. Still need to learn a lot more. I just hope we stay in school, because it's so much easier for me to teach these kids face to face. But I'm learning that I've learned how to navigate Canvas a little bit. That's what we use.
Right.
And but now I'm hoping we stay in school.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you're able to adapt. And, you know, we all know that with your past experience building houses and all that, there's no substitute for that hands-on activities that you can give those kids. But sometimes we have to improvise a little bit and fill in the gaps with what we can do at the time and do the best for the kids. It sounds like you've done that. Like I said, you were able to finish that home last year. And I'll go ahead and start showing a couple of pictures of your home last year. And if you want to fill in there and talk any you want to about these. And this is a picture of the finished house that you did last year. And
yes.
That one sold. We had it online 2 days, and it sold for $30,000. It's the most we'd ever gotten out of a tiny house to this point. So we're real impressed with what you were able to do with you and your kids with that home.
That siding was a big help. That was given to us from, is it CAP that donated that?
Yeah, all this yellow was donated. I'm sure you had to buy this brick.
Yeah, we bought the stone from Lowe's.
But yeah, look what that stuff's expensive too. I can't remember. It's about the best amount. You correct me if I'm wrong. Ain't it about $300 or $400 a square for this?
It's very expensive.
Very expensive.
And it's a very high quality siding.
It is, and
we're going to use it again this year too.
Really? Well, we have some more laying around if you need an extra little bit of a certain color or something, and a few more pieces of that. Here's a picture of the inside, and that thing is beautiful. The way you staged it with the colors and the trim, and you know, the pillows, the bedding. I think that's what made this house. Like I said, this house sold in 2 days. Actually, sold twice in 2 days. Sold once. We got a deposit, and that deal fell through. Put it back online and sold again in 2 days. I believe we could have sold 10 of these tiny houses at that price. Well, I attribute that to your students and your commitment on the project, and the students' involvement with the choices of a lot of these things, and all hands put in there together. It turned out great.
The kids really take a lot of pride in when we get toward the end of these tiny houses. They get real excited. They can't wait to get in here and work.
The way you blend the colors there with this flooring, it really accented your walls, and then you throw the reds and the grays in there. It's just really great. And the kids, I mean, the finish work on this is immaculate. They did a great job on that thing.
Yes, they do real good with it.
There's a picture of the bedroom. And you know, that sells these things. You know, that may be something the other schools were lacking just a little bit on. Some of them have been staged really well over the last 4 years, but
Yes.
this one, you know, and you've done a good job, especially on that the last 4 years. But this one was just extra, a little special, I thought, and I think that's one thing that made it sell like it did. And I had people on a waiting list in case that deal fell through, that they wanted an opportunity to buy that. And
I think that having the bedroom downstairs made it a lot more.
you're probably correct in that. A lot of people commented about that, and they were asking if, you know, and I would mention that those people who didn't get an opportunity to buy, I would mention to them that we had 5 more being built, and they would start asking specifics, and a lot of the questions focused on that downstairs bedroom. So that's probably a good strategy, is to kind of try to implement that in, because it seems to sell better with that downstairs
Yes.
bedroom. I have to agree. What about on the one you're on now? Let me pull up a picture of it. Of course, you're just getting started, and you know, everybody else we've shown has kind of had a pretty well mocked up, framed up, sealed in tiny house. But you're starting, basically you have a trailer with a floor on it here, and
Yes.
you're ready to roll. And what are your plans as far as of course, you know, you've got just starting out, and you're hoping you think you can finish this one this year, and hope with best case scenario with students where we're getting them most of the time, and you should be able to roll with this thing pretty good, shouldn't you?
Oh yeah, I don't see any problem at all finishing it if we continue to be in school.
Right.
I've got kids that would come up here if we didn't have school and work on it.
Right.
But, of course, you know, we've got to follow the rules. But right now, we're doing safety tests and performance tests on all the tools, the saws, and man, they won't quit talking about how high we're going to build the walls. You know, what pitch roof we're going to put up. They're on ladders measuring the door opening, so you know they're already trying to figure it out.
Right. Are you
I
going?
think I'm going to have a real good group this year.
You go with a similar design, you know, same like roof shape and the layout? Similar?
Yes. Yes.
That's a real good design. Really.
We
good.
may do the roof a little bit different, but the floor plan will be basically the same. We're going to put the bathroom on the end, crossways on the end, instead of narrow on one side.
Right.
Make that what they call it, a shotgun kitchen.
Yeah.
Cabinet space on both sides, countertops on both sides.
That'll open up that living room area a lot, won't it?
Yeah.
I can kind of see that. Let's talk a little bit, Mr. Page, about this grant and how you feel like it possibly could get some of your kids on career paths that they might not have been exposed to before. And you kind of already hit on it a little bit with like the design, these girls taking that initiative.
Sure.
If they weren't in your class and you weren't building a tiny house, that probably would never even be a possibility. But tell us a little bit about how you think it may have changed career path decisions or something for some of your kids.
Well, I don't think a lot of kids have any idea of the different careers that are in construction. And estimators, safety, project managers, the interior design people. There's just a lot of different things other than just swinging a hammer and being a carpenter.
And they get to see this thing from the ground up, don't they? I mean,
yes,
you can see it all, and that exposes them to all those areas. And I'm sure you've seen kids take part, just like what they said there, and take a certain specific area. Like your class without this tiny house would probably never see a plumbing fitting put together, would they?
Correct.
And now they're
or a switch or a receptacle wire. Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, unless you just did a shed for somebody and they said, "Man, could you all wire that up for us?" and you took the initiative to do that, they wouldn't be exposed to that. But I guess that's the beauty of this project, and you know it as well as I do. We've talked many times about this, but I just like for other people to hear it from you that this project's fantastic for our kids, and especially, you know, you're fighting a struggle that nobody else is doing. Actually, you're a one teacher program. You're doing it all right there, and you're having a hand in the whole process, where other teachers have or other schools have a couple of teachers or 3 teachers working on it. So, and I have to say though, you do a great job in that last tiny house, and everyone before that shows what a great job you can do when you're given the opportunity. And the leadership you have over there is fantastic for those kids and getting it done.
We've got good kids.
Oh yeah, my mind.